Tristan with Nerdouts Newsstand, and normally I do not do this. I try to keep all topics together within one day, but I did not see this article until after I had put out my last video. Robert Willing sent me this, and I want to go over it, kind of debunk a few things, and kind of look at what is going on from both Johnny's standpoint and Winona Ryder's standpoint. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, it is the fact that Winona Ryder withdrew her testimony last summer. If you remember, we were going over these court days, single day by single day, going over the transcripts. And I would do a video at the end of the day, and right at the beginning, we saw the withdrawal of both Winona and Vanessa Paradis. Both of their testimony were not used. Now, initially, just thought maybe it was quite possibly because of, due to time, right? The trial was taking longer than expected, and all of the evidence, with all of the evidence, some of it had to be eliminated, right? So, I don't know that that's it, but we're going to kind of go through this together. So basically what we have here is Winona Ryder hiring a former federal prosecutor to block, not withdraw, or not, go through with it, to block that testimony during the UK trial. Now, this is brand new, and I don't know this website, but they do have a reliable source, which I'll show you in a minute. But they say, back in April, we had a tip that from an insider that one of JD's former girlfriend might be ready to change her tune regarding the DA at his hands. Now, I don't know that has anything to do with it. I think it's more of, this is not her deal. This is between JD and AH, and she probably doesn't want to get in the middle of it. Now, she already did. This went public a long time ago, probably about a year ago, right? It's out there. Everybody knows both of their statements if you've been following this closely at all. So, it's out there. It's a little late. Now, as far as it being used in court, that's a little bit different. So, now, The Hollywood Reporter reveals in their piece on the top 100 attorneys that Winona Ryder secured the services of former federal prosecutor Matthew Rosengard to block her testimony in JD's UK libel trial last year. Much of Depp's defense rested on several not really. They're saying much of his defense rested on that? No, not at all. They had to prove that he had done this. Now, the Hollywood top 100 attorneys they're talking about is right here. I did go through this and look at Matthew Rosengard, and he's worked with a lot of people, but specifically right here, we're seeing Winona Ryder to block her testimony in long ago boyfriend's UK libel trial. Okay, so that's all that was said during this whole article, right? So we don't have a statement from Matthew, and we do not have a statement from Winona, and we do not have a statement from Johnny. Meaning, I don't know. Meaning, take this with a mild grain of salt. It does seem rather legit, but it also seems very off. Why the change in heart? What was the factor that made you initially speak in his favor and then hire a prosecutor to remove what you said? Why give up your words only to take them back? I remember in kindergarten, we called those people Indian givers. So it says followers of the case will immediately consider statements by the Stranger Things actress in the LA Times, where she said he was never that way towards me, never abusive towards me at all. I only know him as a really good, loving, caring guy who is very, very protective of the people he loves. And that's exactly right. We never heard anything else. Defenders of Depp conveniently ignore the entire quote, which was more off the cuff. I can only speak from my own experience. I don't know that anybody ignores the entire quote, but okay, I wasn't there. Exactly. None of us are flies on the wall, but we can go by facts and evidence, and that's really what most have done in this case. That's really what I've seen done publicly quite a bit. I don't know what happened. I'm not calling anyone a liar. These linguistic gymnastics gave the actress a little wiggle room in any future statements on the case, especially considering an earlier remark where she said her first boyfriend. Now we're going to talk about this, but let's get through it. Her first boyfriend, when she was 18, used to smash everything. Winona was 17 when she began her 4-year relationship with Depp, and has called, him her first boyfriend. Now, from everything that I can find, this statement seems to be very misleading, right? Because the only time that I can find, at least, let me know if you see something different down below, is that when he was with Kate Moss, right? He destroyed a hotel. He destroyed an entire hotel. He was mad enough to destroy a hotel, and she swears to this very day he didn't touch her. I mean, that's all I can find from that age range. Now, I'm not sure why or what made this kind of go on, but these, we're not used in court. They weren't. And we saw the son's lawyer actually want those statements redacted. Not Ben Chew, not Waldman. The son's lawyer want these statements redacted. So, going on here, it says, followers of the case. I love how every single sentence of this is followers, because they know their target audience. Followers of this case might also recall expected testimony from Ryder and Vanessa Paradis that never happened. Yes, we talked about that already. And it says, Depp's legal team seemingly decided their testimony wasn't needed. Now, I don't know, and I can't speak to why it wasn't put in there exactly, but from every single thing I can find through court documents, it was because of the son's lawyer. Now, they say the judge then ruled their statement should be made available to the press, even though Depp's team didn't call them because they had been quoted in opening submissions. Yes, they were. And they also were running out of time. Now we know why it went down like this, at least for Winona. Her witness statement was very similar to her quote in the LA Times and appeared to be written by someone else. Now this is, what did they call it up there? Linguistic gymnastics. You are inferring here. You cannot do that as if you want to actually do real journalism. Well, that's kind of dead nowadays. Anyway, but you cannot, this is your opinion. I've never denied that I'm going to give you my opinion on this channel. But if you're writing a piece here, trying to report the news, it appeared to be written by someone else. You have no idea. That is inferring where an inference isn't needed. So, speaking to a reporter is one thing. Testifying to it in court of law is quite another, and any deposition she made about the case has likely been nullified by Rosengard. That seemingly is true at this point, and it won't factor in, the Virginia case. Now, that's true. But again, I'm going to go back to what I've said a bunch of times. The Virginia case is a jury trial. Those are already out there. Both her, Winona Ryder, and Vanessa Paradis, their statements have been made public long ago. And I can imagine that this won't go away. It will be brought back up before the trial is over because in the nicest way possible, if I know the way that Waldman kind of operates, he is very good at public perception of someone. So it says, will Paradis amend her story next? The news comes on the heel of the newly revealed deposition from 2018 in which Tracey Jacobs, Depp's manager of 30 years, declared his drug and alcohol abuse made him angry, hostile, and incoherent. We always go back to the drugs. Always go back to the drugs because you are angry, because you are incoherent. Those are pretty, especially incoherent is pretty vindicative of drug use. Hostile, angry is not the same word as abusive. You have to have that intent there. Based on what she's seen, Miss Jacobs testified she believed, in fact, that he did abuse AH. Now, we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see how this goes. But, like I said, the most important thing, in my opinion, is that the news is already out there. That she's already said something in favor of Johnny. That's not going away. That's easy to Google. It's easy to find. So, I don't know. This one's kind of shady in my opinion. It feels a little bit like a stinging betrayal, and it also feels like maybe a PR move on an opposing team's, side. Meh, we'll never know. So, it's very easy to leak stuff like that, right? You get the right news outlets, you know what you're doing. You can leak stuff like that and say, hey, I just heard Winona, she withdrew this. Or send them the article. Either way, let me know, of course, what you guys think about this one. This one's a little bit more perplexing. I'm not quite sure what to take of it, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.